Hi, this is Jo from J.H.Leather, and in this video I'll be going over the basic tools used in leatherwork. So I'd like to say a huge thank you to Abbey England for sponsoring this video. Abbey are a huge supplier of leatherworking tools, leather and buckles and fittings. They are a one-stop shop for anyone wanting any of those things. I use Abbey an awful lot for my everyday running of the business. And a lot of the tools that you will see here today are from Abbey, and we will also be making like a beginner's PDF list of leather tools, so if you're interested in buying any of the tools, I will link that below, and the links within that will then take you straight to the tools on the Abbey website. Right, okay, so the first tool we have here is a scratch awl. So the scratch awl is used just for marking out your leatherwork. So next we have a set square. I use a 3-inch engineering set square. I like the engineering set square because it has a lower profile. So we have a 12-inch ruler here. So I use metal rulers for all my stuff because they're just a lot more durable than plastic ones, and you don't get like the rub off of like the lettering or the marks or anything like that. You'll also want a tape measure. Again, this one is in inches and centimetres. So next up we've got the dividers. These are wing dividers, and they just work by undoing this little screw on the front and then setting them to the distance that you would like. So dividers, they're used for sort of marking out leatherwork. If you're going to stitch mark, you'll use dividers. If you're doing any tapering or anything like that, then the dividers are great for that also. And also for evening up holes. Right, next up we have the edge tools. So the ones that I most commonly use are the number 1 and the number 6 edge tools. So the number 1 I use just on the edges of leather, and it just takes the edge off of the leather so it's not sharp and pointy. And the number 6, you'll see in a lot of my videos, I use that around the back of screw punches. Okay, so you also want a knife for your leatherwork. So I use a single head knife, and these are basically just used for cutting. I use mine all the time, cutting points and skiving. It's a really good all-round knife to have. So for your stitch marking and for your screw punching, you will need a mallet. So here we have the Rawhide Mallet. You also want a set of stitch markers. So this set that I've got here is a new set that Abbey are offering. I will be doing a review video on that, so be sure to check back to the channel for that. Hint, they're awesome. So the stitch markers that I commonly use is a number 7 or the number 7 equivalent. Okay, so for making buckle turns, you will want a screw punch. So the most commonly used ones are 5/8, 3/4 and 7/8 will cover you for a range of strap sizes and buckle sizes as well. So for drawing those lines on the edge of the leather that you see in a lot of my work, you'll want a screw crease. So basically the screw just adjusts the width of the crease. And you want to heat these up and then just draw your line around whatever it is that you're creasing. If you're getting fancy, you can do a double line as well, so which is good for like wide belts and stuff like that. It just finishes them off and makes them look that bit nicer. So we also have a bone folder. So this is used for polishing the edges of leather, especially around buckle turns, sort of once you've finished and you're doing your finishing touches. Right, so for assembling our work, before you stitch it, you're going to want to tack it together. So for that we'll be using a tack hammer. So you'll also need a pair of pliers for taking the tacks out as and when you need to. Okay, so needles. I use the Saddler's harness needles, specifically the number 2 size. Okay, so you also need a stitching awl. Now these would be sold separately for the blade and the handle, and they come in different sizes. You'll also need some thread. So you'll want some beeswax just to put on your thread, and this will make it a little bit waterproof but also smooth it down. So you also need some snips and some scissors. So I use my snips for cutting my threads, and then my scissors I use for cutting up padding material. You'll also need some looping sticks to block your loops up after they've been stitched when you're doing your finishing touches, and these can be bought separately or as a whole set. Okay, so the strap cutter pretty much does its namesake. You set it to the width that you want, and then you can cut your straight bit of strap. Okay, so you're also going to need a hole punch. So I use a rotary hole punch, just because it allows you different options all on the same tool, and this is just for punching holes. That's all it's used for, hence the name. Okay, so the strop board is used for sort of everyday sharpening of your tools. It's basically a wooden board with panel hide either side, and then on one side I've mixed tallow and carborundum powder to make a nice sharpening sort of mix. A sharpening stone is also quite useful for sort of getting a new edge on a tool, or if you've got like a dink in your knife blade and things. Okay, so once you've got onto stitching, you're going to want something to hold it. This is where the stitching clams come in. And that's all they do. They just hold your leather there whilst you stitch it. That's it. So that's the roundup of tools for sort of like beginner leather work, and if you're just sort of getting started, this is what you're going to want to look at. Okay, so that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, please click the thumbs up button and subscribe for more videos and tutorials. Also click that bell button to be notified when we release new videos, and I'll see you in the next one.